Hello everyone, welcome to Lab 1. Now, before we actually get into the different objectives, I'd like to give a quick introduction to this lab. This lab is dedicated to date functions and manipulating those to achieve a lot of very specific results. Now, we can do a lot with dates, and I think it's really important to recognize that this lab is not comprehensive. The intent of this lab is to help inspire you to understand the types of questions you should ask. Now, the very best way to answer a question is to test it out. For example, in a scenario where you're trying to ask yourself, would it work if I used a string literal or a character literal instead of actually using a date type? The best way to answer that question isn't going to Google or asking someone who uses SQL, right? The best way to answer that question is test it out. See what happens if you don't convert that literal to a date type parameter. See if it works. That's the very best way. So again, this lab is not going to be comprehensive. I can't cover everything or else these videos would each be multiple hours long. The best thing about this though is hopefully I can help inspire you to know the types of questions to ask and test out. So just copying my code might help you become slightly more familiar, but hopefully I can inspire some more exploration that you can go and do on your own. Now, I'm going to be covering in Objective 1 just basic date functions like sysdate, systimestamp, and what's the difference behind those? What can you expect those to look like? I'm also going to be covering in Objective 2 the toChar function very basically, right? I'm going to show the syntax and some basic use. Objective 3, we dive into the format models, which is the second parameter of the toChar function. In Objective 4, we're going to cover NLS parameters as an introduction. And again, that's the third parameter of the toChar function. Then we're going to review NLS parameters in Objective 5, but this has to do with the alter session statement. So we're not actually going to be using the toChar function at all. In Objective 6, we're going to cover the add months function. Objective 7, we're going to go over the date, last day, months between, and next day functions. And this is really good. These are all very basic functions, but sometimes it's good to understand the nuances behind them. Objective 8, we're going to cover trunc and rounding with dates. These two functions are very, very important to understand the difference. In Objective 9, we will use the extract function. And finally, in Objective 10, we will go over date arithmetic. These are the objectives that I have come up with on my own. If you have additional questions or other topics you would like me to go over in another video, I can create supplemental objectives to this lab as well. I am very open to comments, feedback, suggestion, questions. This is meant to inspire thought and exploration as opposed to be a comprehensive instructional video. So again, hopefully we can create a dialogue and let's go out there and play around with some SQL. I'll see you in Objective 1.